Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and we're back out here in the garage for another first impressions video. And I'm actually making this one kind of early because I think I'm going to turn in earlier than I normally do. Normally on Saturday nights, if I'm home and free, I'm making Texas Gun Vault content. But right now I have a flare-up of my rheumatoid arthritis in my left hand. So, man, my wrist and my fingers are hurting bad. So, I'm a little bit tired. I got a lot of stuff done today. I finished a range report and product review on a Silencer Co. Omega 300 today. And I edited the range footage on the two guns that I'm about to show you. So this is a first impressions video. I was hoping to have three guns to show you, but I got done with these two at about midnight last night, and I was just a little bit too tired. So the third one will probably have to go tomorrow night. And it's a SIG, which one is it? SIG P226 double action in both 40 and 357 SIG, because we have a barrel swap that we can do on that one, and that one is on loan to the channel from my friend Michael. It's currently in the range bag, all ready to go. But let me show you the two that I reviewed last night. We did the Star BM and the CZ70. So let's talk about the one I shot first. Here we have the Star Arms model BM, the one that is nickel plated. I showed you this one. This one kind of looks a little gangsta. And this pistol is made in Spain. And I'll tell you a funny story. If you've been watching my channel, you know that when I got this into the channel for review, it was missing a grip screw. And so I found some online, and unfortunately they were not the same. They were like Torx head screws, but they fit the pistol. And I didn't use Loctite on them because I knew when I was going to be done filming the range report on this, I was going to do a field strip on it as well. But I tightened the screws down, and lo and behold, at the range, one of the grip screws, the new ones, fell off and I couldn't find it. So this thing right now has a mismatch of the old screws and new screws, but I have enough screws to put in the grips. They just don't match. So I don't know if the owner is going to care, but I did track some down. Maybe I'll buy a whole nother set again. They're only like $10. I just got to wait for them to come in. But right now I got a regular screwdriver head on the ones on the top and the Torx on the bottom. So it does look a little janky that way, but it keeps the grips on. And then when I do the field strip video on this, I'll put some Loctite on them to make sure they don't come off. So this is a pistol that is made in Spain. Obviously, it is influenced by the 1911, has 1911 aesthetics to it. But it is a little bit different. It does not have a grip safety. And it doesn't have like the standard detents up here to hold in the slide stop and the manual safety. And the manual safety can be activated when the hammer is down, unlike a 1911. And I believe it does have, I have to double check this. Yes, it has a magazine safety disconnect in it. So externally, it borrowed some things from the 1911. And internally, it's a little bit different. Maybe they considered them upgrades. I don't know. The other question I need to find out, or the answer to, is does this pistol have a last round bolt hold open or slide hold open? Because this magazine does not do it. Now, that does not mean the gun was designed to lock open. But I only have one magazine to test this gun with. So I need to know if it's a follower issue or it's the way the gun is supposed to be designed. I'll have to go online and see if I can do some research. But if you happen to know, tell me in the comment section. All right, so let's talk about how this pistol shot. I should tell you about my expectations first. Holding this gun, it doesn't feel like it's all that great quality. I've watched, Forgotten Weapons and other big channels talk about Star pistols, and I guess they have a fairly decent reputation and following. So the ones that came into the United States on the surplus market, because a lot of these were made for militaries and police departments in South America and in Spain and so forth, around the world, and then they were brought in. They actually had a decent reputation. I think it's because they were affordable and worked. But holding it, maybe it's the nickel plated on it, you kind of go, it feels like it's, I don't know, a step above a Taurus maybe, but I don't know. It just doesn't look like it's all that good. But let me tell you, the gun shoots really, really well and very accurate. Honestly, excuse me. Honestly, I think it shoots better than many other pistols I have reviewed. The recoil is very soft. The sights are right on. It was actually a very pleasant shooting experience. It felt better than some like Colt 1911s and 9mm that I've shot. That would be about this size, like the Commanders. It's a fantastic little gun. I did have some feeding issues, but I think it has to do more with the recoil spring in this gun is probably original. And I have no idea when it was made. I do need to do a serial number check on this. But I'm going to guess the 70s or the 80s, just based on its condition and when these were made. But I think the recoil spring is probably original, and I think the recoil spring is a little bit weak. So when you load the magazine to full capacity, which is, for this, I can't remember if it was 8 or 9. I'll have to double check. That first round being picked up out of the magazine sometimes would not completely load. Like the spring, which just wasn't strong enough to fully strip it out of that magazine. But I'm going to blame the magazine more than I am the gun. Besides that, it ran good. No issues with hollow points. Accurate. You can shoot the gun fast. I wish it did have a last round slide hold open. I don't know if it's supposed to or not. The downside to this gun for me is going to be the tang here in the back, in that it did pinch my hand. I did get some hammer bite. So it looks like you have plenty of room. Of course, I hold my pistols pretty low in my hand. I like to get my hand as high as I possibly can. And as you can see, the hammer spur, yeah, it's going to pinch right there. Not too bad. I mean, it didn't like hurt, but after a while, I did take some pictures of it. I did get some bites in there. I don't know if I can show you. I think it shows you right here, right in there. Right in there. So you can see I did get some hammer bite. Not too bad, but I don't know. It hurt after a while. And by the end of the range report, it had left a mark. I wish the tang was a little bit longer, which by the end I was supposed to be, or I started to hold it lower on the grip than I really wanted to, which would bring the bore axis higher. And that's just to avoid the hammer bite. But actually, this thing is a great pistol. And it's going to get 4.5 to 4.75 stars all day long. I just have some research to do on it. And I lost a grip screw. Okay, a funny story about that too is I started to look on the ground at the range trying to find that grip screw. I was like, it's got to be here, you know? I could not find it. And by the end of my range session, I actually saw a little silver screw on the ground. And so it had kind of like fallen out of the bay that I was shooting at. And I didn't think anything of it. I just picked it up, put it in my pocket. I was like, okay, I'll put it back on the grip when I get home from the range. And so I get home from the range, and it turns out it's a completely different screw from some other gun. So it looks like somebody else lost a chrome screw, possibly for grips, at the range. But I didn't find the screw that was original to this one. I don't know. Somebody lost a screw. I found it, and it didn't fit this gun. So anyway, that's the funny story, if that's funny to you. So big surprise on this one. It ran good, reliable, very accurate. Very accurate. I don't like the fact it's nickel plated, and I don't know. I guess I just got to find out if the slide's supposed to lock open. I don't know if it's supposed to. I mean, it looks like it might have, well, actually, I don't know. Let me see in here. Yeah, it kind of looks like it's supposed to have that ledge, but the follower's working. I don't know. You tell me if you've ever shot one of these before. I would love to know. If that doesn't work, be 4.5 stars. If it's not supposed to have it, it'd be 4.75 stars. But the accuracy of this gun is off the chart. Big surprise. So glad I got to review this. So great gun. Never shot a star before, but yeah, it is a great pistol. Big surprise. And I now understand why on the surplus side of things, these are actually sought after pistols. But looking at the machine work on it, I can see just roughness. It just looks like it's a crudely put together weapon. But actually it works well. All right, the other gun that I took to the range was this one right here, the CZ70. I did a little bit of research on it because on the slide it doesn't say CZ70, it says VZOR 70. And then I saw some things online saying that sometimes there's a pistol called a VZ70. So I was like, what in the world is this? Are they different pistols? And they're all the same. I guess in the United States we refer to this pistol as the CZ70. But in Europe, it's okay, I'm going to say Vizor, I guess. I know, I'm sure somebody that knows better will tell me how wrong I am. Vizor or Vizor? Don't know. 70, and they abbreviated in the Czech Republic as VZ. And so that's what I'm going to title the video. But all three of those names are the same pistol. And this is a modernization of the CZ50. But this came out in 1970. They changed things on the grip. They changed some, I'll have to make a list of everything. This gun, I thought I was going to have some problems with. Now, I only had one magazine for this review. And I filmed the opening kind of title card before I did anything else, before I did like the range report proper. And actually, I had more hollow point ammunition for this gun than I did ball ammunition. So in that opening title sequence, I was shooting hollow points. And man, oh man, did I have some problems. Because in that title sequence, I want to have the gun run well. So I would record it until it worked. I was having feeding problems. Man, I'd have rounds nosedive. The gun wouldn't pick it up out of the magazine. I finally got the opening shot that I needed to. And I was thinking to myself, okay, so when we get to the hollow point test, we're going to have some issues. But once the camera rolled for the range report and the footage from where you see from behind me, the gun ran like a top. So I have no idea why in the opening shots of the video I had so many problems. But the rest of the range report, it ran great. So I'm going to officially report the gun ran great. Because when I probably put 150, 200 rounds through this thing. They all ran perfectly. It was just me trying to film that opening shot. What I think it might be, though, is when you top off this magazine, it is really easy with the 32 ACP for the top round, just the way it kind of feeds into the magazine, to go down, to not be facing up. It's kind of facing down a little bit, and I think that's the problem. So I think if you load this magazine, the thing that I found worked the best, load all the rounds, take it, tap it on the table, tap it on your palm to get all the rounds seated to the back of the magazine, and then it runs better. So I don't have another magazine to test. I think it was the ammunition and not the gun's fault or the magazine's fault. This gun is also relatively accurate. I do not like the placement of the magazine button. In fact, this was one of the upgrades. They said they made the button smaller in 1970 over the CZ50, which I think is a big downgrade, but it's also very high on the pistol. So if you want to change the magazine out, your thumb kind of wants to rest right here, but you got to put it way up here and kind of contort your hand. Even though this is a small pistol, got to contort your hand to get that magazine out. Then when the gun, of course, let me safety check it. When the hammer is back, it is a single action gun. Actually, it's a double action, single action gun. But when you have the hammer back, that take up is so far. It's crazy. It feels like it's not going to break, but it actually does. It breaks right at the back of the trigger guard. So, interesting gun overall. Maybe, actually, having it here on the workbench, I think there's one test I probably should have done, and maybe I'll go back and film it tomorrow, is the double action. I think I forgot to film this in double action. I had made a note to myself to do that, and I did not do that, because it technically does have a decocker. So I might go back to the range and do that. But everything else about it ran great. So very, very surprised about this. Just wish I had another magazine, and I do have one question that maybe you can help me with. I don't think this gun has a slide release. So if you pull the slide back on an empty magazine, it does lock open. But how do you drop the slide without taking the magazine out a little bit and then pulling the slide back and letting it go home? Is there a way to do that? I don't know. So if you know, let me know in the comment section. But overall, this was a great little pistol. I think I just got to go back and film that one test. So there you go, the first impressions on the CZ70 and the Star BM. So let me know what you think in the comment section below, and if you made it to the end. The word of today is star. Star is the word of the day because I reviewed a Star pistol. I don't know if I've done that word. If I have done that word, tell me. I don't know if I did. Maybe I did. I don't know. It's been a long day and I'm sorry. If I did, it's a, we get to use it again. So anyway, thanks for joining me here in the garage. And if you have any answers to the questions I asked, I'd love to know. So, as always, thanks for watching.